What's going on, Coatesville? Welcome to another episode of the Seville Sports Mentality Show. I am the Sports Rev, one of your co-hosts for today, and we welcome you to this episode. We hope that you will enjoy. We have a great show lined up for you as we will feature the head coaches of our girls and boys soccer teams, Coach Ron Kummerer and Coach Matt Jones. And on today, joining me as my co-host will be none other than pastor to some, spiritual advisor to others, task force member to 610, Josh Krantz. So we'll bring him in shortly. If you don't mind, as we welcome you to the Seville Sports Mentality Show, won't you like the network page if you haven't already done so, 610? Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And there are some people watching it on Instagram on tonight. Go ahead on and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. If you'd be so kind, that would be greatly appreciated. Like on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Instagram. We greatly appreciate it. And again, welcome to the Seville Sports Mentality Show with the Sports Rep on the 610 Seville Sports Network. Let's get ready to get this train started. We normally start the show off with what we call the cash check-in. This is the time, where persons from cash who've graduated, or I'll add this, who will graduate from cash will check in by posting your graduation year in the chat. If you're on Instagram, we won't see it. But if you're on Facebook and YouTube, we'll definitely see it. If you're not a graduate of cash, that's okay as well. Come on in, chime in, let us know that you're tuning in, and we will show you some love. So come on in and check in. Let us know that you are tuning in. And I see there are quite a few folk who are joining with us on Instagram. And if you want to go ahead on and post on Instagram your cash check-in, go ahead on and do it. And at some point, we'll recognize those comments on Instagram. But come on in, chime in, let us know that you're tuning in. Sister Sylvia Harris, who's my number one fan, who happens to be my mother, she's tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Brother Hank Lewis, class of 1973, also one of the great members of the First Baptist Church of Passtown, is tuning in. Thanks so much, Brother Hank. Anybody else, come on in, chime in. Let us know that you are tuning in. If you don't mind, that would be greatly appreciated. So we'll give you about 30 more seconds to let us know that you are tuning in to today's show. And of course, we won't limit the check-in to just the beginning of the show. But if you want to tune in, let us know that you're tuning in later on. Feel free to do so as well. All right? Come on in, chime in. Let us know that you're tuning in. We're going to go with a countdown of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hopefully some others will come on in and chime in later on during the show. Well, we're going to keep this train running. And I'm so glad on today I have a wonderful co-host who is no stranger to the city of Coatesville. I shared earlier, he has a lot of titles: pastor, spiritual advisor. He's a member of the Coatesville Hall of Fame. Also, he's a 610 task force member. Plus, he wears many more hats, and he has a lot more coals on many fires. With that being said, if you don't mind, city of Coatesville, won't you welcome your own Josh Krantz to the Seville Sports Mentality Show. What's going on, Brother Krantz?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
Nothing much. I greatly appreciate you coming and joining me as my co-host on today. And again, thank you so much for joining the 610 Task Force. We greatly appreciate you joining us, for we know you're a guy that is spread thin in many directions, and you put us on your plate, and we're greatly appreciative for that.
Man, I love it. I've been enjoying it, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. I think it's just an incredible thing for the city, for the community, and so I'm honored to be a part of it. Thank you.
All right, my pleasure. Well, we want to move to the part of the show where we want to show some Red Raiders respect. This is where we honor teams and athletes for their weekly accomplishments. And since we didn't have a show last week, we're going to bring in those accomplishments from last week up until literally today before the show. So, Josh, let's give a look at who we're paying Red Raiders respect to, and
Let's
then we'll
go.
talk about them in just a second. Let's go. Yes, yes, yes. We just showed some Red Raiders respect, and we had a lot of people to show some respect to and some teams. Again, we're showing Red Raiders respect to the field hockey team who shut out Sun Valley on yesterday. Showing Red Raiders respect to the Coatesville football team who's 3-0, ranked number 6 in District 1, 6A PIAA. Showing Red Raiders respect to Max Hiller, ranked number 6 in the nation by CFB Media, showing Red Raiders respect to our QB, Matt Ortega Jr., who passed for 4 TDs against Lincoln, New York on Friday, showing Red Raiders respect to the girls soccer team, who's on a 3-game winning streak, and to Danica Harrison, who led the team in defense in their shutout against Sun Valley on yesterday, and Natalia Hansen, who's scored a goal in 3 straight games, was showing Red Raiders respect to the golf team, who was on a 3-match winning streak, to Colton Hiller. Many of us think about him in basketball, but let's start thinking about him as a golfer too, who shot overall best 35 last week against Westchester East. And then Carson Holmes the very next day against Westchester East shot the best overall, shooting of 34. Then we got to show some Red Raiders respect to these softball players who have committed to D1 colleges. Olivia Wilkins, who's also playing volleyball, she committed to Drexel in Philadelphia. Jillian Wimmer committed to LSU in Baton Rouge. And Jillian, they have excellent seafood in Baton Rouge. Make sure you're a seafood lover and you won't go wrong in Baton Rouge. And also, we're showing Red Raiders respect to the volleyball team who won their very first game for this season against Academy Park on yesterday. Josh, what are your thoughts about the Red Raiders respect we're showing today?
Man, I love it. I love seeing all the W's, all the wins in the win column. And man, I just love seeing these teams go out there and show the world what Coastal is made of, across the board. Volleyball, field hockey, soccer. It's just unbelievable. And yeah, it makes me proud. Makes me proud to see what these kids are being able to accomplish and the hard work that is really paying off. So yeah, I'm really proud of them.
Let me ask you this. You've been in these Coatesville streets for a very long time. And have you ever seen the amount of talent and notoriety that we have across the board when it comes to the various sports teams? Because we see some who are excelling in football, golf, signed about or committed to D1 schools and softball. And then that's not even counting the players who committed playing baseball, who we'll see more in the spring. Then we also
Yeah.
know we got some solid basketball players. One is nationally ranked in Colton Hiller. I mean, have you ever seen the wealth of talent in Coatesville at one time like
It's
this?
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, we've always had talent. We've always had athletes. We always have somebody making some noise, but to see it, spread across so many different sports, it just shows. Just give credit to the kids and the coaches, and the people that believe in being here and being a part of this community and representing it well. It's unbelievable to me. But man, this is gonna be a fun year to watch Coatesville sports across the board.
And we got to give a big shout out to these parents too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, some of these parents are putting in
committed,
a
man.
lot of money, making some major investments for their children to succeed as they some not only play for the school but also play club, and that's
Yeah,
not a cheap experience by any means. So we want to give a big shout out to these parents who are helping their children succeed, and as well as you said, Josh, to these coaches.
yeah,
Well, a few days ago, I had the privilege to interview our head girls soccer coach, Coach Ron Kummerer, as well as our head boys coach, Coach Matt Jones. Neither one of them could be live on tonight, so that's why we pre-recorded. Matter of fact, the boys soccer team is preparing to play tonight at Cash at 7 o'clock. So we wish them well. And depending upon how soon this show ends, will determine if I'm able to get to the game or not. Nevertheless, we want to get to their interview. It's broken up into 4 different parts, and Josh and I will interject in between the various segments. So, if you don't mind, enjoy part 1 of my interview with Coach Ron Kummerer as well as Coach Matt Jones. Here it is.
Good evening. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for being on and sacrificing your time to be with us on the Seville Sports Mentality Show. First of all, let me just ask you all to introduce yourselves with the introduction. Just tell us who you are, you're the head coach, and what are some of the things that you do in general that has ultimately led you to become the coach of your respective teams. I'll start with you, Coach Jones.
Well, thanks for having us. As you mentioned, my name is Matt Jones. I'm coaching the Coatesville boys soccer team. This will be my 2nd season. Came here last year after a 9-year stint at Bayard Ruston High School in Westchester, coaching a pretty successful girls squad, to a couple assistant coach on the varsity team. So I was there for 9 years. My background, I went to Avongrove High School, class of 1999. And in high school, soccer was my main sport, but also played basketball, track and field, and baseball. But soccer has always been a passion of mine. Played travel soccer when I was younger, and that kind of led me into coaching, starting in around 2014, 2015 in the high school area, and have never left since. And just it's a passion of mine. Working with young adults and individual student athletes is something I love to do.
Thanks for sharing that, Coach Jones. Coach Kummerer?
Yeah, hi, everybody. Coach Ron Kummerer. So I was a Coatesville grad, 1994. I played on the 9th grade JV and varsity team back in 1990 and all through my high school career. I've been around soccer since I was little. Started playing around the age of 7 or 8. I've been coaching on some level since I was 16. I used to coach my little brother, who is part of the coaching staff now at Coatesville. I got involved with this team in 2020 during the COVID year. There was the previous coach had left, and a couple of the dads were kind of looking around to see who might want to step in and take on the opportunity. And Coach Pat Kinsler raised his hand for head coach, and I said, "Well, I can be around most of the time. I'd be happy to help." It was also great for me because my daughter was part of the soccer team at the time. So obviously spending time with her was going to be fun, and I'd soak up every minute of that if I could. So began as the volunteer assistant, and then Coach Pat had stepped down 2 years ago, and I raised my hand for that position. And Coatesville's in my blood. It always has been. It's a special place, and I wanted to continue what we started to build with Coach Pat, and try and take this program to a new level. And I think we're getting there. So I'm excited and happy to be a part of this program.
Thanks for sharing your stories. Both of you all mentioned in your intros that you all have played the game. Having been a former college basketball player, former assistant head coach of varsity basketball in Atlanta, I definitely recognize it's one thing to play the game. It's another thing to coach the game. And every player doesn't always make a good coach. So I'll start with you, Coach Kummerer. What inspired you to become a soccer coach?
I like to teach. So my day job is I'm a financial advisor with Merrill Lynch, and we're helping people with their portfolios and teaching them how to get to retirement and get through retirement. So naturally, I'm a teacher. I like to help. I like to pass on knowledge to other people. So it's just kind of always been in my blood. My dad was a coach, so I had a lot of knowledge passed along from him. I think at the end of the day, that's just what it is. I want to help young kids, not necessarily avoid the mistakes that I made, but just kind of help them along the way. And just seeing a smile on their face and seeing the aha moment that they have, it's pretty special. And if you haven't been a coach before, I think that you're missing out, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it's always been a passion of mine.
Same question for you, Coach Jones.
So for me, it kind of happened on a whim. I was registering my son for Southern Chester County Rec League back in, like I said, 2015, and they had a posting for assistant head coach on their webpage, I guess trying to target some parents in the area for Ruston. And I just, threw my name in the hat. They had just started their preseason, so they either had lost a coach or maybe they never got the hiring one. So I kind of fell into coaching. I'd always kind of coached a little bit with my son, whether it was rec or basketball, YMCA, but kind of fell into the high school soccer scene. Like I said, soccer's been my passion. And then, as I coached throughout the years, it just making an impact on all the young individuals, young adults, has just been really life-changing for me and just another passion of mine. As the assistant coach, you're kind of like the fun coach or the players coach. And that's kind of what I've kind of groomed myself to be, and kind of followed me throughout my tenure as being that player coach and making that impact on young people's lives, but at the same time being passionate and competitive about the sport of soccer and knowing it's a vehicle for these young adults to, take with them throughout their adulthood, and how to use it and how to use the relationships they build and the life lessons that's learned through the game has been eye-opening for me. And it's just, every year something new, and you learn something new as a coach. Like you said, being a player is one thing, being a coach is completely different. So definitely, learning on the go, but it's just something that I've always been passionate about and love doing every year. Every time that this time of year comes around, it's just, you get excited, and the fall weather starts to change. So it's just always an exciting time, and an exciting career field to be involved in.
Thank you both. I know as a former coach, typically great coaches have a philosophy for how they approach coaching. One of my mentors in basketball was a coach by the name of Morgan Woolton. Even though I didn't know him personally, I read a book entitled Coaching Basketball Successfully. Morgan Woolton was a great coach out of Washington, D.C. area. He coached the great DeMatha High School to many high school championships. And his coaching philosophy, which I adopted for my own, was play hard, play smart, and have fun. So, Coach Jones, what is your overall coaching philosophy as you approach being the head coach for the Coatesville boys soccer team?
I think you kind of hit it on the head. Playing hard, but making sure you have fun. Keeping in mind that it's always a game, but definitely making sure that they have fun. I always use the example, especially on the side when I was coaching the girls. We were pretty successful as far as winning. We had a couple of Chestmont championships, playoff runs in the districts. And it always stuck to me, like senior night. A lot of times the girls would always mention, like, the biggest thing that stuck out to them throughout their playing career was like bus rides or hanging out on the bench or practices. And that's kind of feel like where I've made the most impact. And I feel like that's where the players you really want to make an impact and make sure they enjoy their time on the field. X's and O's is one thing, but just making sure you touch that player's, heart and making sure you're making an impact. They know that you care about them is something that's really important to me. Building the relationships with, players and parents. We have our boosters clubs. So we're really involved with the parents, especially on the high school level. So my philosophy has definitely been play hard. Like I said, I'm super passionate, competitive. Sometimes it gets the best of you on the sideline in the midst of a game, especially something like soccer where there's no timeouts and the game's just constantly running. But again, always stressing that they have fun, be competitive. And, in a strong division like ours with the Chestmont and soccer, it's just always fighting to the end, right? Always making sure that they put their best foot forward, not being scared of the competition, and just being out there to compete from the beginning, opening whistle until the final buzzer is something that I always stress to the players.
Coach, same question for you. What's your philosophy?
Yeah, so I'll dovetail off of what Matt had said a little bit there. I think, knowing how much you care. I think there was a quote once that said, I might even get this one wrong, but the kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have to have a blend of teaching those life skills and checking in on what's going on in school and if they're okay with their family, and then secondarily you care about what's going on the field too. So just getting that connection with the kids. As far as the game strategy is concerned, I think one of the things we've tried to stress among the four coaches this year is some real simple philosophy, and it's practice how you play. If you're lackadaisical and you're given 70% in practice, your habits are going to continue on to the field when it's game time. So we've really stressed that throughout our preseason, and they probably are sick of hearing all of us say it, but practice how you play. We just keep just embedding that into their brains, and so other than that, I don't know that we have a set philosophy. Coach Scoogie Smith was my coach back in the day. I'm sure a lot of people on this broadcast have good memories of Scoogie, but one of the things I always mention at least a couple of times a year is, no matter what level you get to, what accomplishment that you get to, there's always something else that's out there. And Scoogie's his philosophy was never be satisfied with being satisfied. There's always another level that we can get to, new heights that we can reach for. And so, that one's kind of stuck with me as well. And the girls have over the years have heard me say that on a number of occasions. So Yeah.
I appreciate you lifting up the name and memory of Coach Scoogie Smith. Coach Scoogie's very dear to me. I used to be his pastor before he transitioned, and he used to share a lot of quotes even before I moved back to Coatesville. Always had something inspiring. As I'm thinking about it now, I'm missing those motivational texts that he would send quite often. Sometimes enough is enough, but now that you think about it, he was definitely inspirational, and it is great to see that his legacy moves on. Well, that was part one of the interview, and we appreciate Coach Kummerer as well as Coach Jones for sharing. And Josh, you got to unmute yourself so I can talk to you. There you go.
Yep.
All right. During one of Coach Kummerer's comments, he mentioned Coach Scoogie, and Coach Scoogie was a long time physical education teacher at Cash, also the only boys basketball coach to ever win a state championship. I know that you had a great relationship with him before he transitioned. So I just wanted to pause before we start part two to let you have a moment where you remember Scoogie and let us know your relationship with them and maybe share a story or two as you remember him. So go ahead and shoot.
Man, where do I start? My first memories of him was just going to basketball camps in the summer and probably being 8, 9, 10 years old. And having him yell across the court at all of us. And man, I could tell story after story, but as I got older and as I kept working with the basketball team and several years when I coached, Skogie was always there, always trying to give advice. He would always support the Run Seville movement. And so anytime I had products out, he would always come and support and, would always ask me when I was going to make a shirt with him on it. So that was that was always a running joke that we had. But he meant a lot to me. Obviously, his wisdom on and off the court, his impact on and off the court. It's just crazy to think, a lot of people outside of Coachville think of him as just a basketball coach, but he was so much more and just had a credible impact on so many lives. And there's so many things that he taught us as young men that we'll carry with us for a long time. And I was just blessed to know him. And sad in his passing, but nothing but great memories with him. And I'm grateful for learning the game from him and just learning about life from him. So that's about all I got to say about Skug, because I could just keep going on and on and on and tell you story after story, but we'd be here all night.
I appreciate what you shared, and I could tell that you got a little emotional as you were talking about him, and he had that kind of effect on everybody. And before we conclude, I just want to show a little picture as we remember Coach Scoogie, one of the best people, one of the best coaches, and we will continue to remember his legacy for as he touched Coach Pastor Josh. He also touched my life in a very real way and so many others. So we remember you, Scoog. We remember you, Scoog. And one of the things he would always say is he would always say, I love you. I would say, I love you too. And then he'll come back and say, I love you more. And I say, you win.
Yeah. That picture that you just showed, I compiled that together for his memorial. And but the way I was able to do that for the last several years, he would just bring stuff by my house, bags of old articles and gifts that he would get as a coach and basketballs and cards. And so, I have a ton of Skug memorabilia still that are just great memories. Newspaper articles throughout the ages. So it was pretty incredible, what he built. So, yeah.
He was known for giving away his stuff. Matter of fact, we have a memorial in his honor at the church, First Baptist Church of Passtown. One of our task force members, Councilwoman Villa Hunt, and her daughter, Dolores Hunt, who's a phenomenal artist. She and her mom put this wonderful memorial for him in the fellowship hall. So you got to come over to First Baptist Church
Yeah,
next
I'd love to
time
see it.
and check it out. All right. Thanks so much for helping us. Remember Deacon Scoogie, Coach Scoogie. And now we're going to go back into the interview with Coach Kummerer as well as Coach Jones, part 2. Here it is.
Yeah.
Neither one of you all inherited a Chestmont powerhouse, right?
Mhm.
So when you all came to Coatesville, both of you all are in your second year. You all didn't have the great success that typically follows certain programs at Coatesville. So how do you define success for your team beyond wins and losses? And I'll start with you, Coach Kummerer.
Well, I'll go back to what I think what Matt said. You know, we want the girls to have fun. Our first couple of years, I'm not sure that we had enough for a JV team, and if we did, it was scarce. So I think part of the success early on has been just getting more bodies out to the field, letting them know that we're having fun. The wins and losses, aren't the only thing that we're looking at here. As we're kind of growing the program here, we are putting a little bit more of an emphasis on wins and losses. I think the Coatesville girls soccer program and the boys too, but I'll let Matt speak for that. But the programs have never been, like you said, a powerhouse. They win 2, 3, 4 games a year at most. Last year we won 5 games and tied 1, and that was the best record that we've had in probably a decade or 2. So defining success is just getting better each day, each week, getting better each season, bringing more girls into the program. Again, not settling for okay, great, we won 5 wins last year. That's not good enough. We need to hold the program to a higher standard, that it's okay to win, and to recognize what it feels like to win. We just won a big game against Avongrove, which was the first time in, again, decades that we've beat Avongrove, and being able to go to school the next day. We talked about that in practice, being able to go to school the next day and have a little bit of strut in your walk, a little bit of confidence. So success to me will be, building the confidence, amongst the girls, and letting them know that it's okay to win. It's a cool feeling, and just keep building their confidence, and hopefully as their confidence grows, the performance on the field continues to grow, and as that grows, the wins come naturally at that point.
Well, Jones, same question for you.
So for me, I mean, like you said, coming in, you don't inherit Chestmont powerhouse, like you said. But for me, coming in, kind of even working together with Coach Ron, we kind of touched base before we both kind of jumped on board and started touching bases how to build the program. A lot of it comes from effort and attitude, making sure, we compete with intensity, like I said, until the final whistle, regardless of the score. Sometimes we're going to come out on top sometimes, especially, with these powerhouse schools that have the higher level players. We may get punched in the mouth at the beginning of the game, early score. How do we compete, right? Do we hang our heads? Do we, get the ball at a goal, run it back to the center circle and get ready for the restart? So effort and attitude is something that, we always preach, something that we definitely made an adjustment to this year from last year, from things that we learned, how to come into practice, how to be attentive at practice, things like that. Attendance and commitment is huge for us. We had actually 85 players register. I don't think that many ended up coming to tryouts, but 85 players registered to try out for the soccer team this year. Like I said, because of whether logistical issues or paperwork, some of them didn't come out, but I definitely think we had over 70 at the tryouts for the first week. So, commitment, building that culture is super big for me. like I said, I saw that as the assistant coach at my other position, but culture is so big in a program, whether you're winning or losing. How do you set that culture? How do you touch in and tie in with the players? Do you have respect for your teammates, accountability? Especially with a city or a school like Coatesville, the pride is huge, right? I noticed that representing the school, representing your family, representing your community is huge. So that's something that we're always building on. Our boosters program has done an excellent job keeping our boys involved in the community, thanking our sponsors, giving back. So again, just continuing to build that culture. Every now and then there's some game metrics that we definitely go over, whether it's possession, turnovers, things like that. How do we execute, certain tactics that we're incorporating into our game? So we've done a better job at that than last year because we have a couple more volunteer coaches on board that help with that. But again, individual growth, tactical execution, all those things are important to, building a stronger program.
Let me ask you both this question, then we'll start talking about your players so that both of you all can begin introducing your respective teams to the community and to this viewing audience. Both of you all came into the programs, as we talked about. You didn't come into powerhouse programs. So therefore, you all both have had the task of rebuilding. So I want to pose this question, and I'll start with you, Coach Ron. What are some of the challenges that you've had to face in seeking to build the soccer program at Coatesville?
Good question. I think I'll give you two, and one of them, again, I'll go back to what I said in the previous question, but because we haven't been a winning program in the past, you get a certain mentality about the program. It's as a player, the preconceived notion that the program isn't one of the top tier programs at Coatesville. So it's breaking that stigma. It's continuing to instill the confidence that we have the skill set, we have the players that can be successful. We just need to continue to boost their confidence. And I think what I've found, because I have a daughter that I've coached, and my son actually plays with the boys team. There's two different mentalities. A lot of times the boys tend to be overconfident, and a lot of times I see that the girls tend to be not confident enough. So I think one of our big challenges is just, again, building their confidence that they can win. They are up for the task. The second issue that we have that's difficult is just the program, the soccer programs in the area. If you look at Downingtown and the Westchester schools, they have feeder programs that have amazing track records. So you have FC Delco, which you get kids from Coatesville, Downingtown, Westchester that play in the FC Delco program. You also have Penn Fusion, which is more Delco and Westchester based. So for us, the skill sets aren't developed as early. So with basketball, they have lots of programs in the city that the kids come through. Same thing with the Kid Raiders, I think they call it, for the football program. So we don't have a big feeder program that we're pulling talent from, where we're able to start them at the younger ages. We're counting on some of the other outside programs, FC Delcos and the Penn Fusions of the world, to help teach some of our girls. With that being said, one of my good friends, JT Dorsey, which I think you've had on the program before, JT and partnering with FC Delco, we have tried to bring back FC Coatesville, which is a free program within the city. The kids get to practice one day a week, and then they play, I think, on Sundays. So we're trying to get these kids involved, at a younger level. Some of the problem with getting the kids in Coatesville out to these travel programs is the cost. Right. And within the city of Coatesville, you have more lower income housing the kids can't afford to get to the travel programs where they can get better. So we're trying to get more kids involved in JT's FC Coatesville program, so that we can kind of build from the bottom up at those younger ages. So I think those would be the two challenges: is just starting the kids at a younger age, and then just when we get them here, just the confidence that, hey, we're not going to be a doormat anymore. We're going to start changing our attitude about the Coastal Girls soccer program. We're going to become winners, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to change the attitude, slowly but surely.
Thanks for sharing it. Well said, Coach Brown. Coach Matt. Same question for you.
Yeah, I would just piggyback off that. Definitely the mentality of you don't win a couple games or a lot of games for every year, so that can definitely affect a team's mentality. Frequent coaching changes, things like that, not being able to build a solid foundation is sometimes challenging. But I think definitely with the Chestmont League that we're in, the mentality is a hard thing to overcome, but we're definitely making strides because we have, especially on the girls and the boys side, we have the talent there. I think the issue that we see a lot is just our players aren't able to play together a lot. So it takes a while. The soccer season is quick. It's fast. It's about a month or two. So you get 2 weeks for preseason and then you start your season. Some of these other schools, with them, whether it's Westchester based, playing together with the Penn Fusion teams, sometimes we'll play teams that have 3, 4, or 5 players on the same, Penn Fusion, ECNL or ECRL teams, which is kind of equivalent on the basketball side to like a EYBL type of league. So very high level players. And with us, our boys are kind of scattered, whether some of them are at FC Delco, some are at Penn Fusion. So it's hard to build that continuity between the players. So that was a big to do for us when we started the program, is just continue to keep them involved throughout the year. You usually have the soccer season. And then because, like Ron said, some of our players don't play travel, whether it's due to travel or cost, they don't really get to play again until like next spring or maybe next winter. Or so we've been trying to incorporate things like futsal at Scott Middle School, which is a free program where we just kind of invite any, local kids out that want to play, whether that are in middle school or high school. They can come to Scott Middle School. We get in some futsal, which is indoor soccer with a little bit smaller, heavier soccer ball to improve their footwork skills. Then we've also enrolled in USTC winter leagues. This summer we did 2 summer leagues in Westchester East and one in Unionville. So just continuing to keep them engaged and playing together. And then hopefully that starts to change the mentality as they start playing together, become a family, recognizing each individual's, playing the way they play and things like that, and how to recognize, where they're going to be at on the field. So I think definitely the mentality is probably the biggest part. And then, like Ron said, the feeder program, we're definitely overcoming it. And with, the reintroduction of the FC Coatesville program, some of our boys have been involved with the volunteer of helping the younger kids, things like that, continuing to be involved with the middle school. I think that usually gets lost in the past, where there wasn't a lot of buy-in with the middle school sports. Now we're trying to, be active, be present at the games as much as possible. One of our volunteers just took the 8th grade middle school soccer job, so that'll help build some continuity. So just, continuing to cover those like stepping stones and just continuing to gradually build and, reinforcing their confidence every day, every game, knowing that they can compete with these teams. It's just that they have to believe, right? They can't go in, with the slightest bit of doubt in their mind, because, these other teams are going to just sniff that out and, pounce on it.
Thanks for sharing. And I truly appreciate both of you all being very transparent in regards to some of the challenges that your respective programs face. You there?
I'm back.
You're back? Let me, there we go. There we go. Yeah. I think that was very helpful to
Oh
be
yeah,
able to hear some of the challenges. Many times as fans, we are engrossed with just wins and losses, and sometimes we don't take into account the challenges that some of these programs have to deal with. As these coaches made it clear, they don't have the pipeline like the
yeah.
football, baseball, and basketball teams have here in Coatesville. So, what were some of your thoughts from what you heard from the coaches?
And that resonated well with me. I mean, I think there's a reality. It wasn't until I went on a mission trip to Mexico that I realized that how I always knew that soccer was a wide world sport, but that everybody plays soccer, and it's the most accessible game worldwide, and it's probably the cheapest game,
Yeah,
one of the cheapest game. It just all you need is a ball,
yeah,
and a trash can, and yet my growing up in this area, I always just thought that that was a sport for the wealthier kids, and you know um but I just think it was a thing of access, for kids in this community. And, that's how you build a program, having those. So that really resonated with me with having access to feeder programs and youth soccer leagues and things that can get these kids at a young age interested in playing some of these sports that, aren't available here. It's not like kids don't want to play them. It's just that, there's not much availability. You have to leave the community to go play them. And so I think it's important. I've been around a while and seen JT Dorsey's work and his program, and think that could be make a significant impact. And I look at the team, this current team. There's a lot of great guys that have worked really hard, but the other thing that resonated with me was, the fact that they don't get to play with each other a lot.
yeah.
Most teams that we're playing, these kids are growing up, playing together on the same teams from the time they're, 6, 7, 8 years old. And so to give our guys an opportunity, guys and girls, an opportunity to do that here locally, playing together, it just provides a camaraderie, a trust, and a level of excellence that you just can't get without it. And so
Right.
it's great that they're talking about that and seeing that, and my heart goes out to them for desiring that to really build programs. But they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job.
Great thoughts, and you lifted up one of the key things is that chemistry matters. And that's
Yep.
why coaches of any sport would love their players to play together beyond just their regular season, because it's a wonderful thing when you could just make eye contact with one of your teammates and you know what that means. So I thought that was just great insight that these coaches gave us when it came to some of the challenges that they face. Now, here's the part that some of you all have been waiting for. I know some of the players are probably watching, especially the girls. The boys are playing at this time, but some of the girls are going to have been probably thinking, when are they going to start talking about the players? So now this is the segment that they will start talking about the players and also their captains. So let's tune in to what the coaches have to say in this particular segment, which is part 3. Let's do it. Thanks. Now, as we continue on with this interview, let's start talking about your players. I've been told prior to the start of 610 that a lot of the sports programs did not get noticed. They did not get much coverage. Matter of fact, there have been some parents who have been clear that they've been thankful that with the network, it's not just football and basketball getting all the coverage. So now this is an opportunity for you both to be able to help us understand some of the players on your team. And I'll start with you, Coach Matt. Let us know some information about who your team captains are and some of the players that you're expecting huge contributions from as you have this season.
Okay, so this year we went with 5 captains. So we have Paula Barca, who's a senior. They're all seniors. So Paula Barca, Logan Bernardo, Charles Adrovo, Andrew Winans, and Isaac Jones. So they're all our senior captains. I went with 5 this year. It's just been kind of the norm in the past to go with 3. And just through my observations and being in different places, I just felt, especially at this age, 3 usually wasn't enough, or sometimes their voices get drowned out. And just to be frank, sometimes our kids don't have a lot of experience in leadership yet. So I thought going with 5 this year would be a little bit more better for the team, space it out a little bit more controllable for the captains. And all of them are stellar players. So Charles is a returning second team all Chestmont, Charles Adrovo. Very strong player in the center of the field, usually commands a lot of attention. Yesterday at Avongrove, usually gets a what we call in soccer like a man mark. So just almost like a man-to-man defense in basketball. People trying to, take him out of the game or just kind of isolate him and neutralize him. So he's definitely probably one of our stronger players, definitely one of the ones that definitely has been recognized by some of the coaches in the Chestmont. Last year, we also had 3 honorable mentions: Andrew Winans Jr., Ryland Smith, Isaac Jones. Andrew Winans is our center back, very strong in the air, very competitive player, very passionate, definitely already getting some offers from some D2 and D3 soccer schools in the area, as well as in the Florida area. So he's, definitely one of our, players that to keep an eye out for. Logan Bernardo, I'm sure maybe you guys have heard that name. He's a center back or fullback. He's also the place kicker for the football team. So this is his first year doing that. He actually his second year. He did it when he was a sophomore on the JV team. They had Colin last year for football, so he skipped that year, came back this year, and he's doing an excellent job. I think right now he's 12 for 12 or 13 for 13 with the extra point. So that's awesome for him. We always encourage multiple sports for players. It's just good for, development overall. Definitely supporting him as much as we can from a soccer standpoint. Who else did I miss? Paula Barca. I think he's a player very strong in the back. FC Delco player. In fact, I think a lot of our players have transitioned to FC Delco, which is good for the Coatesville community. A lot of them transitioned over from Penn Fusion. So we're starting to build a little bit more stronger of a presence from the Coatesville side in the FC Delco program, which is good because it's a little bit closer for our players. I think at some point I'm going to have coach the FC Delco reps come and talk to our players to just introduce the program and see how they can get some exposure there, maybe get enrolled in that program. And then the last player is fortunately my son, Isaac Jones. He's a senior. This is his 3rd year on varsity. Usually plays in the midfield or up top. Very passionate about soccer too. He was an honorable mention last year again with Ryland and Andrew. And he's also looking, got some offers for some D2 schools, but still look in the recruiting process. But overall, we have a really strong, solid team. We also have some freshmen incoming. Gio Alvarez, he's actually on the injured list right now. He's got some medical issues going on, but very strong player who was offered a academy position in Mexico over the summer. So he'll be, taking advantage of that pretty soon. But our team is, very strong. Like I said, again, it's all about the continuity. But definitely there's some names, to look out for. And what sticks out to me, just kind of piggybacking off of that, is just the kind of the comments from the other coaches that we're getting from the last 2 years. Just seeing that how the program's developing, us building off what the other coaches in the past have put in place, and what they've left for us to build upon. And, just other coaches, other programs seeing that, there's definitely strides being made at Coatesville. Player development is improving, and things like that is definitely wins for our team. But, player-wise, we definitely have a lot of strong players. And it's just, coming together as a whole, as a team, and making that gel and making it work for 18 games of the season.
Thanks so much for sharing. We truly appreciate your giving us in-depth information about your team. Turn the attention now to Coach Ron. Coach Ron, you're one of the few coaches probably in Coatesville history that has the blessing of being able to coach someone who has played on the international level, in Natalia Hansen. You and Coach John Allen both had players who made the international USA teams. Before we talk about Natalia, I want you to talk about just your team captains and who are they, what do they bring to the table, and any other players that need to be on the radar that's not named Natalia Hansen. We'll get to her in a second.
Fair enough. So we do things a little bit differently on the girls' side. We don't dictate who our team captains are really until game day. We have what we call team leaders. My two team leaders right now are Danica Aronson and Kira Allis. So with team captains, it's a privilege to be the captain, and the team captains are selected before each game, and it's really performance based. So going back to practice how you play. If a solid effort has been put in throughout the week with practice, you could be nominated to be one of the captains, for the upcoming game. So that's how we select our captains. But again, going back to Danica and Kira, both seniors, this is their second year as being team leaders. Team leaders are, helping to communicate to the team any of the messages that we need to get out to the team. As the name indicates, they're helping us with the beginning of practice, and just, continuing to build on their leadership skills. So our team captains, a little bit different than what some of the other programs might do. We're fortunate in the fact that this year we have 9 girls from our starting lineup last year that are returning to the field again this year. Again, Kira and Danica, Riley Barthmeyer is our goalie. This is her second year as varsity goalie. Of course, you mentioned Natalia is returning. Senior Morgan King, sophomore Nora Wise, 2 juniors, Natalia Caridi and Ava Weldon. Who else am I missing here? We have a couple of really good freshmen that have come on board. We're super excited. We had about 11 or 12 freshmen that have joined us this year. So some of them are getting some varsity time. Danica was named as a All-Chessmont honorable mention. Natalia Caridi, I believe, was an honorable mention as well. Ava Weldon was second team All-Chessmont, and Natalia Hansen, of course, made first team All-Chessmont as well. So, fortunate to be able to have so many starters come back from last year's team, and then to be able to add in some freshmen coming into the program this year as well. So we're excited. The coaches and I last year introduced a little bit of a new way of playing the game. It took us probably a good third to maybe halfway through the season until things started to click. So we felt like coming into this year, the girls understood the philosophy that we were trying to, incorporate with the team. And we felt like we'd be a little bit of a leg up, coming into the season, because so many of our starters were already familiar with, how we wanted to play. So A lot of good names out there on the team. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. So girls, I apologize in advance. The sports refs put me on the spot here. But again, we're excited to have, and one of my other center backs, Jasmine Marungi. So Jasmine, big part of the team. She's another one that, along with Hanson, getting some notoriety out there. Kira and Danica both have interest from the college level, and my understanding is that Jasmine's getting some of that same attention as well. So lots of good names there, whether it's D1, international, D2, D3. The girls are starting to get recognized. When I first started with the program, typically we'd only have maybe 1 or 2 or 3 girls that might go on to play college soccer. And I feel like this year those numbers are going to get better. And as the years continue on, I can already kind of see, some of the newer girls, they have that potential to eventually get to D1, D2, D3 soccer.
So basically you're saying the girls soccer program is looking real good now and also in the future.
I think so. Yeah, I think, some of the pieces are starting to come together. We are getting more girls from the travel program. So, again, I go back to when we first started, we only had a handful of girls that played for FC Delco or from Penn Fusion. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'd say we have, at least of the 33 or 34 girls that are on the roster, I'd be willing to bet that probably at least 15, 16, 17, 18 girls probably have some travel experience, which is a huge upgrade from what we had, a couple of years ago. And it matters to have those girls play travel soccer. Like Coach Matt said before, they jump out of the high school season, they get right into travel ball, and that goes all the way into May. So these girls are getting to play year round. It's a big deal to be able to have, more travel girls, in our program here. So we're excited. We want to continue to build on that and get more girls involved in travel, get them involved in FC Coatesville, and, whatever we can do, we get them involved in the winter programs, the summer programs that, as a team, like Coach Matt was saying. So we're excited. It's part of what drives me to continue to be a part of this. I can see, what the future might hold for the program. It's moving in the right direction. It's not where we want it to be, but it's moving in the right direction. And we're trying to create the excitement of coming out to the game and having a good time and getting everybody involved. One of the things that we do, we have a soccer camp in the beginning of the year where all the younger kids can come and they can meet the players and they get on the field, and we have a week-long camp for them. And from the camp, those girls are invited to come down to the games with us, and they can be a ball girl or a ball boy. They can, line up with us during the national anthem and shake hands during introductions. And so we're just trying to do little things, to get them involved and get them excited about the girls soccer program, because let's be honest, no one's really talking about the girls soccer program 10 years ago. Look, we all love winners, right? We all love to follow the winners and the people that are successful, and that just hasn't been the girls program in the past. So whatever we can do to get the community excited about, coming to see us and come and being a part of our program at some point, we want to continue to do that. So sorry, I kind of dovetailed and away from your original question, but
we'll just charge it to your excitement about the program.
Yes, sir.
But you mentioned about people getting excited about winners. Also, people get excited about star players. And we know that you're fortunate to have a star player in the person of Natalia Hanson. You mentioned her being all Chestmont, and what was remarkable about that, she was all Chestmont first team as a 9th grader. So I want to ask you this, Coach. What makes Natalia such a special talent on and off the field, and how does her presence elevate the play of your team?
Yeah, I think her presence, I guess I'll use the word aura. I think, when she steps onto the field, there's an aura about her that just kind of raises the spirits of, the rest of the team. I think we all get a little starstruck sometimes when we see, professional athletes or professional star singers or whatever. We all get a little starstruck, and I think that there's some of that that happens when she's on the field. We want to see what she's made of, what she's got, what makes her special. Why is she getting all this attention? So it's a great opportunity for for her teammates to watch and learn. I think the best thing about Natalia is her work ethic. And we say to the girls a lot, it's just showing up to practice and working hard at practice. That's not what makes you a great player. It's what you do when nobody's watching. It's putting in the extra time. Everybody can show up to practice, right? It's mandatory. You're supposed to be at practice, but what are you doing that you don't have to be doing? And that's what separates the good or the great players from the elite players. And so, I talk with Natalia's father, weekly, and I know she's putting in work. She's putting in work before kids are even, getting up for school in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning, she's lifting, she's running, she's doing whatever it takes to get better. And so, her work ethic is certainly one quality that separates her. And she's also humble. So, nobody likes an arrogant player. Nobody likes somebody that has kind of carries too much confidence with them that they think they're better than everybody else. Natalia has a cool, quiet, calm demeanor about herself, and she's a humble person, on and off the field. So she's definitely a special player, and we enjoy having her.
I appreciate you sharing that, and I had a chance to see the buzz about her firsthand at your first home game this past week, and it's clear that the student body has bought into her stardom. That's for sure, because every time she had the ball, you just expected something electric to happen based on the crowd's comments and cheering when she had the ball. So I appreciate you sharing that, and Coach Matt, also appreciate you sharing what you did about your team. I have two more questions for you, and then we're going to bring this interview to a close. And I want to again thank you both for your time on today and sharing some great information about your respective programs. All right, we're back, and that was some good stuff as the coaches told us about their respective programs, and you can see Coach Matt was excited about all his players, and obviously Coach Kummerer was excited about his players, and he talked extensively not only about his captains and those who are helping the program be what it is right now. He also talked about Natalia, and Natalia's on pace to be one of the best to ever come through Coatesville, regardless of sport, because she and Colton, I believe, are the only persons that have played for Coatesville that made USA international teams. So with that being said, I'm putting Josh on the spot right now.
Let's go.
And here it is. Josh is charged to give us his Coatesville sports Mount Rushmore. That means he's charged to give us, in his opinion, the 4 best sports athletes to ever do it. It could either be in his lifetime or in his opinion. And it could be synonymous as well. So, as the late great rapper Tupac once said, all eyes on you. So I'm going to put the full screen on you as you tell us your Coatesville sports Mount Rushmore.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I know somebody's going to come back and tell me how wrong I am. But all right, let me just list off some names that impacted me real quick, Rev. I don't want to take too much time, but
now how many names you gonna lift? I don't want you to cheat now.
I know I only get 4. All
right, so you give an honorable mention first, or is that what you're trying to do?
Couple honorable mentions.
Okay, all right.
It's just too many basketball to not give honorable mention. I mean, has the greatest impact on my life growing up in Coatesville. Guys like Marty Eggleston, Jody McMillan, Butch Hills. That was when I was a young buck. Legends like Victor Ford. Um, you know, uh, you hear the legend of, I mean, he's too old for me, but the legend of Abel Joe on the football field and all his accomplishments. And, a lot of the old heads argue for Abel Joe. Um, but here's people that I would put in my Mount Rushmore. Number one, you got to go Rip Hamilton. Can't not put Rip Hamilton in the coach for Mount Rushmore. What he's accomplished, what he's done, what he continues to do. Uh, I mean, he's up there. He's had an incredible impact on this city. Um, so I'm putting Rip up there. Football wise, I'm putting CJ Gray. CJ Gray. I think he's the best running back ever to come out of Coatesville. He had 5,828 yards in his career. Nobody could stop him. He was fast. Um, so he's on my Mount Rushmore. So that's Rip, that's CJ. I gotta put somebody that's not a high school sport, but somebody that has a great accomplishment, and that is Calvin Silky Smooth Grove. He was an IBF featherweight world champion. I think he TKO'd Antonio Rivera around 1988, 1989. But Silky Smooth, he has to be on my Mount Rushmore of athletes coming out of Coatesville. Other than that, it's a toss up for me between Tootie and Jig. Uh, Man, just wonderful basketball that I've watched from both of those dudes. So giving both of those guys, um, yeah, maybe we can put half of their faces up there. Tootie Jig, Rip, CJ Gray, Calvin Grove, and many more. And
Uh,
many more.
all right, now, who you giving the edge to? Because we don't have no half faces on Mount Rushmore. Who
I
you
gotta
giving
get
the edge to?
I gotta give Tootie the edge just because I mean he was like a human highlight, man. That team that won the I mean and he got a state championship.
You got
So he
state
gave it.
championship. There you go.
Yeah, I gotta give it to Toot. And that's
Yeah,
my man. But Jig's my man too. So love
yeah.
both of them. Yep.
And it's fair because Jiggs is the all-time leading scorer
Yep.
in Coatesville history. So it's understandable why you have to weigh it,
Yeah.
but at the end of
Man,
the
I
day,
was
you can't deny a championship.
nah. And I was wrestling with that all afternoon, man. Because when you think of athletes, man, there's guys that I mean, the pre-Bryant. I mean, I think he's one of the best athletes. Dre Boggs Jr., best
Yeah,
athlete to ever come out of Coastal. They were the best in every sport they played. They weren't just one basketball, football, track and field. They were just the best when they walked on the court, the best when they walked on the field, the best when they walked on the track. And just we've been blessed by it. Just athletes that come out of this little city called Coatesville, man.
for sure. I appreciate you indulging in what I
Yeah,
asked
yeah.
you, and I appreciate you following the preacher and what he had to choose from. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna ask you to do this for me because I know you're also a gifted artist. If you don't mind, put in art form your Mount Rushmore so we can post it, so we
I'm
can
gonna
get
do
some
that.
buzz about what you said on our
Man, I was
social media
thinking
page.
that. I was thinking that while I was talking. So I gotta
Okay.
do
All
it.
right, I appreciate it. All right, we're gonna get ready to conclude the interview with Coach Ron and Coach Jones. I told them at the end that basically I want them to sell their program. So listen
Mm,
to how they sold it. Here we go. Get you both out on this question. We know great coaches have to sell their philosophy or style of play to their respective players. Now, you all probably are doing a great job selling your philosophy and style of play to your players. Now, I want you to elevate your greatness and sell to the community why they should come out and support your respective teams. So now, this is your opportunity to be a salesperson to the community, to tell the community why they need to come to see your girls and boys soccer program. So I'll start with you, Coach Ron, and then we'll come to you, Coach Matt. Sell it for us, Coach.
Okay. Hey, let's get on the bandwagon early. The program's turning the corner here. Like I said, last year we had 5 wins and a tie, which was the best that we've had, in a very long time. This soccer program has only been to the playoffs one time in their let's see, how old am I? In their 32 year history. So jump on the bandwagon early, be a part of it now. Listen, when you guys had mentioned the stands being a little bit more full than they typically have been in the past, and I agree with that 100%. I remember looking over at my coaches the other day, and I said, "Man, look at all the people in the stands over there." And this was for a JV game, and then they filled up even a little bit more for the varsity game as well. There were cars parked along the back of the fence there, which there's always plenty of parking at the girls' soccer game. So come out and help us. Support these girls. Look, if you were ever an athlete, there's a second level of adrenaline that hits you when you can hear the crowd cheering for you. So anything you guys can do to help support us, we would truly appreciate that. Deep in my heart, I know that we have a talented group of girls here. It's not just about Natalia Hansen. There's one star can make a difference, but it really takes with soccer. It truly takes a team to be successful. It takes a lot of athletes buying into what we're trying to do as a program here. So come out and see everybody, not just Natalia. There's a lot of great athletes on our team. The girls, again, we talked about throughout this program about confidence. And the louder we can hear you guys in the stands, I think that just helps their confidence all the more. It raises the level of adrenaline that runs through them as they're chasing after the ball, as they're looking to take that breakaway to goal. So get in early. Our goal this year, we're planning on making the playoffs, which again, it hasn't happened in a very long time, since the early 2000s, I believe. So in order to get into the playoffs, we think we need about 10 wins, and at this moment we're 2 wins in and 8 to go. So please, whatever you guys can do, ask questions, come out and ask questions to the girls in school, come out and support us, and we promise to give you all we have, and hopefully we'll get to see you in the playoffs someday.
All right, Coach. Thanks for selling your program to the Coatesville community. Matt, as a rapper named Tupac once said, "All eyes on you." Now sell your program to the community.
All right. So, I mean, for me, it's all about the culture and commitment. Like, of course, the scoreboard matters, and we play to win, but true progress for me is developing, a program, that's measured in more ways than just final score. So like I mentioned before, how we define wins is culture and commitment, players, consistently showing up, training hard, putting the team first, improvement on the field. And that's definitely shown for us throughout the community. Like I said, getting recognition from other coaches, other teams in the area, but also just a buy-in from the community and the fans in the stands has been huge. That we've definitely seen an increase in the attendance and the stands being filled at games, the excitement. Just soccer is one of those sports. I think, you come out, you watch, it's just always engaging. Like I said, there's no timeouts, very highly competitive. I think we'll learn that. And a lot of people will see that with the World Cup coming into Philadelphia or into the USA in the next year. So that's a big thing. Like I said, soccer is just one of those sports that just captures everyone's attention, right? I just think because of maybe the success of the program or just the recognition, it maybe just hasn't gotten as much recognition as it deserves. When I think about the basketball and the football programs, I think it is, while you do have star players, I think it's just buy-in from the community that makes it so special, right? The consistent sharing of the promotion from, you know, community individuals or businesses, or just the buzz that gets built around game day. We're looking to see an increase in that for the soccer program as well. While we play a little bit more often, and that excitement might get diluted a little bit, we're increasing the excitement for our games and the girls on the girl side too, with theme nights and you know, things that our players are doing with boosters to, you know, get their names out there. And like I said, we have a lot of talented players on the boys side, and a lot of them are going to go to do great things athletically and business wise. We have actually our starting goalkeeper, I didn't mention him. I think he's going to be graduating second in this class. So like I said, just continuing to support our program, support our young individuals in the community is important to us. And just, you know, knowing that we're always going to play for the name on the front of our shirt, for the Coatesville community, for that red, black, and white. And, you know, just knowing that our players are always going to give it their all, come out fighting at the end for the end whistle, and, you know, do their best. They're always going to give it their best. They're always going to make their family proud, their community proud. And we just look to continue to build on that from year one all the way until, you know, they kick us out. So that's our main goal for the soccer program, always to represent Coatesville in a strong way. And we hope the community represents us and gets behind us as well.
Thank you so much, Coach Matt, for selling your program to the community. And as we close this interview, thank you both for your time, your sacrifice, all that you do for our young people in the respective programs that you coach. And thank you for making yourselves accessible to our network, allowing us to cover you, and also allowing us to bring you on our program on today. Coatesville family, Seville mentality, sports show family, please show your love to Coach Ron Kummerer, as well as Coach Matt Jones, our respective head coaches for our girls and boys soccer teams. Y'all show them some love by sending up some hearts, sending up some likes. Thank you, coaches. We greatly appreciate you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much, Sports Rev. We appreciate what you guys do too.
Thank you so much. All right. We want to thank again Coach Ron Kummerer as well as Coach Matt Jones for spending the time, allowing us to interview them. We greatly appreciate them. We hope Coach Matt Jones and the boys are doing well. Hopefully I'll get a chance to catch the tail end of the game. So thank you all so much, and we hope that the girls and boys soccer teams feel real good about being recognized on today's show. With that being said, we know that Coach Josh is the new inspirational leader for the Coatesville football team, and he's taking over for Brother Paul Chaya. And I had a chance to see him and take a picture of him before the last home game, as he is dealing with some health issues, and therefore he had to step down. And I just want Josh to just talk a little bit about Brother Paul Chaya, what he meant to the program, what he meant to the team as an inspirational leader. And then after you get through, we're going to ask you to show what you do with the Coatesville football team by giving us our Touch of Christ moment as we get ready to conclude the show. So first, talk about Brother Paul Chaya.
Man, Paul, amazing man of God, wonderful pastor. They call him Rev. He was the original Rev. And but been around the program for probably 24, 25 years, maybe 20 years. And has just invested his life into the young men on that football team and the coaches. And there's coaches on this current team, Will Keeler and Steve Brazel, and I mean they were guys that, you know, were players when he was first getting started many years ago, probably 2004 is when he kind of jumped on the scene. And I think he told me the other week he may have missed maybe one game, maybe two games in that span of 20 years. So we're going to continue to pray for him, um, and he continues to battle. And it was great to have him out here with the team a couple weeks ago on the field. He barely could get out of bed that morning, and God gave him the ability to get in the walker and come and sit there for the whole game and just speak a word over the guys before they played. And he's just an amazing man. And one of those silent heroes, really. I mean, he's been behind the scenes. Nobody really knows about him unless you're around the program. Then he's meant a lot to so many guys and so many families. So we love him. We're praying for him. But it's an honor to kind of, fill those shoes. They're big shoes to fill. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. But it's an honor just to be around the team this year. It's a wonderful group of young men, and it's a privilege, man. It's a privilege just to serve in that way and to speak life into them, but just to be an encouragement, to cheer with them, and hopefully we'll keep cheering with them too this Friday night.
All right, now we want you to put on your inspirational hat as well as your pastor's hat right now, as we are all about sports, but we do give a touch of Christ. And
Yeah,
typically I do this segment where I am a pastor myself, but I said, let the other pastor who's going to co-host this show do the touch of Christ moment at this time. So it's on you.
yeah. I won't be a long-winded pastor tonight, but I was given this stone. If you could see it this morning, I was actually at the United Nations General Assembly yearly prayer breakfast, just praying in a room next to it. And a guy, a retired older man, dear older man, pulled out a pocket of stones. He had a pocket full of stones. And he said, "You know what this is?" And I said, "No, I had no clue. Is that a rock you found on the street?" But this stone, Rev, is actually a stone that he got from the Valley of Elah, which, if you know anything about biblical history, the Valley of Elah is where um, David uh, fought Goliath, and that's an amazing story that we have in the scriptures. This giant man, and the Philistines who. The nation of Israel, God's people were scared to death of him. Nobody would go out and fight Goliath. And they went through every soldier, every man. And David was just a little shepherd boy. And he comes and they try to put Saul's armor on him. He couldn't do it. It was too heavy. And he goes down to the valley of Elah and grabs 5 smooth stones from a brook and puts them in his pocket. And he puts one in his sling. And the story goes, he hits Goliath in the center of his head and kills him. Um, and Goliath makes fun of him as he comes out to the field, um, and basically was David said, and this is my words, um, you're not fighting me, you're fighting the Almighty God, and His name won't be disrespected. But just in a nutshell, and God gives David that victory, and David knew who to give the glory to for that victory. He knew it wasn't in his own strength, but he knew that God would go before him. But I've often heard that story, and so many of us have heard that story, and we like to put ourselves as David in that story, that we are the one that are fighting the giants in our life. And there's truth to that. The man that handed me this stone, he said, "This is the stone to remind you that, God is bigger than your giants." And I thought that was, incredible just for him to share this with me this morning. And there's a place for that. Uh, there's a place for us overcoming our giants, and um, that's probably a story I'll share with the young men at some point this year. There was a football movie called Facing the Giants, that was created, so it applies to a lot in life. But I have learned the older I get, the more I pastor, that I'm not always David in the story. And this is kind of how I want to end. Um, and we're not always David in the story. We're not the hero. And I believe this story points to one who was greater, the hero, whose name is Jesus, right? We need him to fight our battles. And he's David in this story, or David gives us a picture of Jesus. We needed him to win the ultimate fight over sin, over death, and none of us could overcome ourselves. So that Goliath in our life was too big. We needed somebody to fight on our behalf, and that someone name was Jesus, and he became the savior, and he took our place. The Bible says that he who knew no sin became sin on our behalf so that we might become the righteousness of God. He did something that we couldn't overcome. So sometimes we are David in the story. Sometimes we can conjure up enough courage to fight, enough faith to trust in God to overcome. And God protects us and God leads us. But sometimes we're the cowardly, helpless Israelites, and we need someone greater to fight on our behalf, and that person is Jesus. Sometimes we're the one living in fear, and that person is Jesus. And he fought for us a battle that we could never win on our own. And so I hope that this little stone reminds us tonight of someone who is greater, that fights our battles, that goes before us, and who gives us life. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. So let David and Goliath's story and this little stone I have that I'm going to put as a keepsake now from the valley of Elah remind us that we need someone greater whose name is Jesus. And I'm done, Rev. That's it. Amen.
Amen. You started to sound like a Baptist preacher for a minute. But you had about, said, I'm getting ready to close. I'm getting ready to close. But let's
I was
think.
waiting for the organ to start, man.
Well, don't tip me now. I do have hoop triggers on my phone now, so I can close it out if I need to. With that being said, we want to thank you so much for that word, that timely word that we needed. And I pray that somebody was blessed by it. Also, let me thank you personally for joining me on this
Yes,
venture
sir.
today. I hope that you enjoyed co-hosting with me. And again, thank you so much for being a part of the 610 Seaville Sports Network Task Force. We want to thank Coach Ron Kummerer, the girls'
Yes.
head soccer coach, as well as Coach Matt Jones, the boys soccer coach, for joining us. And we want to thank everybody for sharing with us. Please share this broadcast, tag somebody if you enjoyed it, particularly let somebody know about the Seaville Sports Mentality Show. We'll be back next week. My special co-host will be one of our other task force members, woman, our Villa Hunt. So she will join me on next week. Thank you again, Pastor Josh, inspirational speaker Josh, task force member Josh, Hall of Fame committee member Josh. Thank you so much for joining with us on today. Everybody, peace and love. Let's cheer on our Coatesville Varsity sports as well as JV and freshman sports for the rest of this week. And we look forward to being with you on next week. Peace and love, everybody. Have a great, great night. Bye-bye.
Peace.